So there are 13 ghost points. And this is an interesting number, 13. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. It's a number of death. But as Karine was saying in her morning lecture today, death is actually the first step of new life. So in order for there to be a new life, in order for there to be a healing, a curing of this kind of deep chaos in the flow of qi, there needs to be a process of going through death and rebirth and coming back to life. And so this is important because, as we will see, the number 12, which is the first 12 points, is a very important number in the flow of qi in the body. It has to do, as I said, with the 12 branches and also with the flow of qi through the 12 channels. And of course with the flow of qi during our circadian cycle of the day and the flow of qi through the 12 months of the year. And there's also a cycle of 12 years, but that's going a bit too far for now. So there are 13 ghost points, and we divide them, as you can see, into 4 groups of 3 points, and then there is the 1 point at the end. And this division enables us to understand maybe a bit deeper what is the process that the person is going through. Now, when we speak of a ghost possession, it's not that the ghost goes from step to step to step to step to step to step to step, because, as I say, we're not really talking about an evil entity of a ghost possessing the body. But we are talking about 12 or 13 different manifestations that affect the body can be diagnosed as a problem of perverse qi that we call a ghost possession. I will use that word again, even though we don't want to. So we divide them into 4 groups of 3 points, and each of these groups has something in common. The first 3 points, as we can see, have to do with the attack of the body and the senses. As we can see, these are 3 points which have to do, first of all, with reviving consciousness. Taking a person from a situation of either coma or fits and seizures or very severe hallucinations, and reviving back the consciousness. And this is interesting because if you look at the points, we have Dumai 26, which is the center of man. So it first of all gives a center, a rooting for the spirit within man. And then we have lung 11 and spleen 1, which are the 2 ting points. And they're the only 2 ting points within the 13 ghost points. And as we all know from our studies, ting points are used for reviving consciousness, or different kinds of pathologies that bring about unconscious state, or seizures, or epilepsy, or as I said, deep and severe hallucinations, and all kinds of extreme situations in which qi is not flowing correctly between heaven and earth, between yin and yang. So these are the first 3 points, and they have to do, as we said, with attack of the body and the senses, and we will go into that shortly. Then the next 3 points, pericardium 7, bladder 62, Dumai 16, this is another level of ghost possession. This is the ghost possessing the heart and the mind. And we can actually look at this kind of process. We begin from pericardium 7, which is the yuan, the source point of the heart. And from there you can see it goes into bladder 62, which is the master point of the yang chao mai. And yang chao mai travels from bladder 62 upwards to the brain and enters into the brain. And Dumai 16 is the point of entering into the brain. So these 3 points together have to do with possession of the heart, possession of the Shen, possession of the mind, and the awareness and our ability to control the connection between our thinking and our emotions and our physical manifestation and interactions with the world, as I said, in order to act in a way which is according for human beings, according to the order according to the rituals of this period, which is the Neo-Confucianistic period, as I said before. Then we go into another set of points which are really interesting. This set of points is really interesting. I'm sure we will get this far at least. These 3 points have to do actually with the collapse of the ability of the body to nourish itself. And in nourishing ourselves, we actually, our ability to heal. Because when we speak, when we speak of diagnosis, and when we want to diagnose, we want to give a prognosis of can a person actually be healed or not be healed, we are taught to look for 3 things. We're taught to look for a connection with the Shen. We're taught to look for a connection with the roots of the energy, with a connection to our root of energy. So we have heaven and then we have earth. And then we are taught qi. Is there enough postnatal qi? Are we able to muster enough energy in order to create a process of healing? So when we get to this level of the ghost possessions, these points, as you will see as we get to understanding what are the symptoms of these points, you will see that they really have to do with this deep-set fears and inability to dig yourself out of the situation and to turn the tide and to transform back into a direction of cure and of healing. And then finally, we have the last 3 points, which are between heaven and earth. We have Dumai 23, which is the highest of the ghost points. And we have Ren 1, which is the most hidden and interior of the ghost points. And then finally we have large intestine 11, which is maybe strange because it's such a commonplace point and used for so many different things. But first of all, it is a really harmonizing point, and it harmonizes. It is the earth point and the he point, the C point for the large intestine. It has so much to do with harmonizing the nourishment of energy and enabling proper interaction of bringing Yang-Ming energy inwards to nourish the body. And then finally, there is this point which is not a well-known point of acupuncture. It's not a point of acupuncture in the standard text. And this point is called Gui Feng. It's the ghost seal. It's actually this point on the bottom of the tongue. And if we get to that, we will talk about the directions of acupuncture, which actually means that you need to take a needle and stick it all the way through the tongue from the bottom to the top. And then you need to take another needle and put it under the tongue from side to side like this so that the patient does not swallow this first needle. And probably you're not going to do that in your clinic. But we'll talk about it if we get there. Okay, so this is the order in which Sun Simiao gave the points. And I just want to say one interesting thing, which I'm not going to talk about. One of my sources, really interesting sources for understanding the ghost points, is a lecture I heard with Jeffrey Yuen many years ago. And Jeffrey Yuen teaches a very specific tradition of acupuncture according to. And I asked him once about the ghost points, and I asked him about this point, and he said the way he learned it was that the last point is actually not Gui Feng, but it is Yin Tang, this point up here. And this has to do, he said, with the ghost points being not only a description of xie qi and pathological symptoms, but the ghost points as an opportunity for spiritual development and spiritual growth. And I will try to discuss this level of the ghost points as we go through the points. Some of them are more easy to grasp, some of them may be more difficult to grasp, but looking at healing as an opportunity for us to facilitate the spiritual growth of our patients, and looking at these points and thinking also of ourselves and how where we feel stuck and maybe not manifesting these different levels of spiritual development. So we'll try to talk a bit about that as we go through the points also. So, as I said, this is the order that Sun Simiao gives the points, and it's very important, I think, and as we go through the lecture, we will be following this order of the points. But I do want to say something, a few sentences about the connection between the ghost points and the 12 branches. And as we said, the 12 branches describe the flow of qi in the world, because they describe the flow of qi through the 12 months of the year, the 12 lunar months of the year. And they also describe the flow of qi within our bodies, because they describe the flow of qi through the 12 channels in the circadian cycle that we all know very well. So what you can see here is the connection between the Chinese names for the 12 branches, we're not going to go into that now, and the 12 channels of acupuncture. And in this system of connecting the ghost points to the 12 channels of acupuncture, the order is a bit different. And the order goes from heaven to earth. So the progression of ghost possessions through the different channels has to do with the order of the energy, the order of the points, starting from the top of the head and going down all the way to the bottom of the foot. So we begin from Tse, which is the pictogram of actually a baby being born. This is the beginning of life, the beginning of the flow of qi. And this has to do with the hours of the gallbladder and with the gallbladder channel. And the ghost points are done in this order according to the clock. And as I said, from yang to yin. So Dumai 23 is the highest of the ghost points, and it's related to the gallbladder channel. And then we go according to the order of Dumai 16, which is the next one down. Dumai 26, another one down. Renmai 24, another one down. Then we have stomach 6 at this level, just below and to the side. And then we have Gui Feng, this point under the tongue, which is going interior from stomach 6 into the mouth, and you could say being swallowed into the body. And then we continue downwards to go first from the points on the hand. Lung 11 is the highest, then pericardium 8, pericardium 7, large intestine 11. And then we go down to the feet, bladder 62, and then spleen 1. And then finally there is Renmai 1, which in this order of the philosophy of the 12 branches is actually a forbidden point, and it's not a point of the 12 channels. It's the most hidden, the most interior, the most intimate root of yourself. And we'll talk about it when we get there. Should it be needled? Should it not be needled? We'll see.